we will start taking those calls now by talking to Cal. Is it Calais in Stockholm? Give us the correct pronunciation of your name there.
Yeah, Calais is fine.
Cool. Are you driving right now?
No, I'm gonna turn off the car. So
okay, I just want to make sure you're on the road.
Driving, yeah.
I just want to make sure you get off the road. We don't want to distract you from driving at all. Just make sure we're pulled over.
No, it's okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, yeah. Cal, what's your? Calais. What is your assertion here?
Yeah, so I think I've looked at the leading scientists. Well, I'm from Sweden, so my English is not good. So bear with me, please. If you don't understand, I can repeat. I will try my best though. Yeah, like I said, I tried to look at the scientists, especially the leading scientists like Einstein, Newton, all of them. They are deists.
Oh, your signal just got really jumbled. You're gonna hang on, Calais. Your signal just got really jumbled, so I need you to back up a sentence or two. We lost you right after you were saying you were looking at scientists like Albert Einstein. Go on.
Yeah. So I was looking and see what they believed in, basically. And I found that the leading scientists were deists, not necessarily theists, but deists with D. And so I think that there is no way around God. I mean, no matter what theory, what hypothesis, whatever you follow, I think that you would have to apply some of the attributes of God to that theory. And so for that reason, I don't think that you can go, there's no way around God. You'd always have to believe in some sort of a deistic God.
All right, let's stop there. Let's pause here.
Yeah.
I've got several things.
Yeah, Calais, let's say you're right, that leading scientists are usually deists. Now, I'll ignore the fact that Albert Einstein wasn't a deist. He expressed some pantheistic, he had some pantheistic expressions. However, there are other scientists like Stephen Hawking who would also use similar types of language, but then when actually asked more specifically about it, broadcasted that these are metaphors that they're using. And so he definitely, his language and Hawking's was very similar. It wouldn't surprise me if it was for similar reasons. However, I don't know, so I'm not going to sit there and say he wasn't actually a pantheist. He never used that term, but he said pantheistic sort of expressions. This idea that everything is God. He didn't believe in a creator God. He didn't believe in a God that interacts with people, a caring God or whatever. But that's not deism either. Hang on a second. But let's say you were right, and let's say that 98%, I don't know what the number is, it's definitely not 98%, but I'm going to give you a crazy number. Let's say 98% of the leading scientists, however we would categorize that, are deists. Would they be deists as a result of the science they are doing? As in, would they actually, with all of the other stuff that they're known for, the groundbreaking physics they present, the groundbreaking chemistry, the groundbreaking biology that they present, would it be the same mechanism that makes them tremendous in those fields that led to the conclusion of that deism? Or would it be something else like, hey, here's an unanswered question. I don't have proof for it, but I'm inclined to believe that there is something greater.
Yeah, well, I think, I think there's more than that. I think they've read a lot of, especially when you talk about these leading scientists, they're very, they have read philosophy. They're very.
You're not answering. Hang on, Calais. Answer my question. Yeah. Is there?
So your question.
I'm gonna make it much simpler. Hang on, I'll make it much simpler. Yeah. Is their conclusion of deism the result of actual scientific inquiry?
No, because they understand better. They understand one thing. There's a reason for that. They understand that the laws of nature, it breaks down in singularity and at the center of black hole. So the singularity,
first of all, Calais, stop. The physicist who is popular for pioneering the concept of singularities recently came out and said he thinks if you could actually observe the center of a black hole, there wouldn't actually be a singularity. The guy who literally is the singularity guy is now not so keen on singularities, while much of physics are, because it still fits into a certain mathematical stuff. But we don't actually know, hang on, we don't actually know what's inside of a black hole. The singularity was a popular idea. It's also the popular idea for the Big Bang. However, we don't actually know what's in there. And not knowing, and whether or not we knew it or not, none of this says, therefore, a God. And so the honest answer you gave so far, before you've tried to just like jump in with this, yeah, here's a scientific mystery, here's a scientific mystery. Clearly, you're a smart person. Clearly, you also like to read about smart people. But you are doing one of the dumber fallacies. This is just God of the gaps, but a little sexier. And that's it.
Yeah, but look. So what? My point was this. My point was this: that you can't scientifically. It's silly to ask the question. Can you prove to me God scientifically? How can I prove to you that if the laws of nature breaks down at the singularity? That's what I was trying to say. And let me correct you on one thing. Sir Roger Penrose, he actually retracted his statement. Him and Stephen Hawking, and I think it was 97. About singularity. However, the Big Bang is still true. What they said was that the Big Bang happened, but it's observable universe. That doesn't mean that the Big Bang is not still. They have modified it, if you will. They have modified that they still believe in a Big Bang. That it happened. I think Alan Guth came with the inflation theory.
Hang on. You gotta stop after you make a new point, because you just made like 4 in a row. You need to look up what Gish Galloping is, because I think it might be your personality. The Penrose just wrote this paper. We're talking within the last couple of months about singularities within black holes. Nobody here has claimed that he or anyone else has said that there wasn't a singularity for the Big Bang. So you're hearing things that aren't actually being said. It's the black holes. We don't actually know what's in them. Singularities are popular. The person who popularized them no longer thinks that that's most likely the result. And there are key problems with it. However, it doesn't matter, because we're here to talk about whether or not there's a good reason to believe in God. So one of the other great many points you made was this idea of can't prove God scientifically. First of all, if God existed and wanted to present himself, yes, you could. It is that this God apparently either is so far away and undetectable, so sort of like a deistic sense, that it's just that he's far away and undetectable, but we'd still be able to see his imprints. There's not been a thing yet that goes, hey, even though we don't know the answer to this, a natural explanation probably can't be it. We haven't hit any of those. That's why they're still exploring those questions. Nobody's thrown their hand. None of these physicists that you're mentioning have thrown their hands up in the air and goes, well, let's stop solving these things, because how will we ever solve them, since it's clearly a God that isn't compatible with our reality. Nobody's throwing up their hands at any of those points. They're still exploring these questions. But furthermore, the points we're here to talk about is, why would there be a good reason to believe in God? And your best defense is basically, you can't give me a good reason not to.
No, Lord, I can give you several. I can give you philosophical. I can give you reason. I mean, I could go. You know what? Okay, why is there something rather than nothing then? I mean, we know from nothing comes. So there has to be something.
There it is. There it is. So,
these are such silly
can I throw some stuff out there really quick?
First.
Just really quick.
Calais, no, you can't. We're not going to let you. Forrest is going to talk now to you. And then if he doesn't hit the points that I hit, I'll also address, you're very tired, old, and silly. Why is there something rather than nothing? But I'm going to let Forrest go now.
Yeah, so just from the beginning, from the outset here, saying, well, all these scientists are deists, as if that means anything. First of all, when we talk about what scientists call God, you mentioned, Newton. Newton was a devout Christian for sure, but then you also mentioned Einstein. And like, when you look at scientists of the 20th century, especially, a lot of them, what you call deism, they believed in what was called, Spinoza's God. Spinoza, I pulled up the actual quote here to make sure that I got it right. Spinoza believed that God be called God, the sum of the natural and physical laws of the universe, certainly not any individual entity or creator. He used the word God to describe just the way the universe worked. And a lot of the times when people like Einstein would throw around the word God, that's what they were talking about. Just a catchy, sexy way of saying the laws of the universe. The same way that in biology, we talk about mitochondrial Eve and Y chromosomal Adam. that doesn't mean we actually believe like in actually two people from which these gene sequences exist and from which we derive these things, and that these two actual people lived at the same time. None of that. It's just a poetic way of saying the first dude or the earliest ancestor from which we derive this particular whatever it is, either a Y chromosome or a mitochondrial DNA or whatever. And when you look at religious belief among scientists from actual like studies, I've got here pewresearch.org. This is the Pew study on this from God knows how many years ago. They actually polled scientists who believed in God or not. And here we have a little bit of a discrepancy. 95% of the American public believes in some sort of a God. Only 41%, so 4% of the American public said they were atheists. 41% of scientists said that they were atheists and didn't believe anything. 18% said that they had some kind of a vague idea of a higher power, but not really an actual God. Only 33% actually believed in an actual God. And when you go down to like breaking that down by field, turns out biologists and biomedical scientists are very less likely to believe in a God. Geoscientists, very much less likely to believe in a God. Physicists and astronomers, much less likely to believe in a God. You're much more likely to believe in a God if you're a chemist. So the people who actually deal with things like the origin and the function of life and the universe and everything, those people are statistically less likely to be any kind of theist, deist, you name it. They are self-expressed atheists. So like you're throwing around these words as if they actually mean something. As if, you know, these scientists are out here saying, well, yeah, technically I believe in so, when what's more likely is they're either being poetic or they're being academically honest and calling themselves agnostics. The statistics are not on your side. The meanings of what these scientists have actually said aren't on your side. And now at the end of this is a second point, so I'll leave it after this. At the end of all of this, you come up on this, like Jimmy just said, a very tired and silly point. Well, they're something rather than nothing, therefore there must be some sort of a God out there, which doesn't make any sense. And it shows that you weren't actually being honest about saying that scientists were deists. You were just looking for a reason to make an argument from authority and say, well, these smart people think something kind of like I do, so therefore I must be right. And that doesn't make any damn sense, dude.
Yeah. So regarding your scientific, your assertion, something rather than nothing, there seems to be, at the very least, some amount of scientific consensus that there has always been something. Now, some of the something we've colloquially called nothing. For example, in the Krauss book, this sort of idea of quantum vacuum, I think it is, that is the nothing. There are multiple, hang on. There are multiple hypotheses on the whole thing. There is the concept of nothing is nonsensical because you can't give nothing any features, then it ceases to be nothing. But furthermore, let's say that we agreed there ever was a nothing, which we don't. And now there is something, which we do agree there is something. Mm-hmm. Why would therefore God must exist be the candidate accepted explanation that has not been demonstrated like anything else that we assert with surety exists? Why does it get to skip peer review? Why does it get to skip scientific testing? Why does it get to skip all of that shit when everything else doesn't? And we just go with therefore God. Why would it not be the most honest answer? I don't know. Not therefore God.
Yeah, okay, can I answer now?
Yes.
Okay, so I was looking at a documentary with Ben Stein. I'm not a very big fan of him, but he said something very, very interesting there about Richard Dawkins. He said, look, this guy is prepared to say, can you let me finish?
No, Kelly, if you're going to whine about me not letting you finish, I just want to let you know ahead of time, you're quoting a documentary that people have already shown the way it has been edited to straight up. I know exactly what documentary you're talking about already because you said Ben Stein and Richard Dawkins. That documentary was... Shut the fuck up. I didn't say I know your point. I said I know what documentary. And I'm just letting you know... All right, so you're muted now because you can't take shut the fuck up for an answer and just wait for a second. You should know the documentary you are quoting from is a fucking fraud. It has been shown the way it has been dishonestly edited many times by many people. And so whatever point that you're going to want to make, tread very carefully and make sure that you're not quoting the selectively edited bullshit. Now go ahead with your right, which, by the way, it's funny that you're here to defend deism, and I suspect I know why, but we'll find out in a minute, by quoting Ben Stein, a theist from the Republican Party of the United States. Go ahead.
Can I be heard now?
Yeah, but if I decide I want to interrupt you again, I'll do it anyway. I don't give a shit.
I mean, I called before with Matti Lahonti. This is my second time ever to call this. But anyway, I thought that you listen more. You turn out to be worse than him. But anyways,
too bad. Cry about it.
No, I'm not going to cry. I'm just going to tell you something.
You going to make your point?
Oh, come on.
Can I talk now? Are you finished?
Are you done? Are you done whining about whether you can talk or not? Make your fucking point.
So Einstein said that, I'm sorry, what's his name? Dawkins said that, some higher level of beings must have come from space. But just anything, my point is that you say anything, it just can't be God.
Yeah, so you just lied.
Why?
Calais, so now we're going to interrupt you. Calais, now we're going to interrupt you because you just lied. Okay. Richard Dawkins never said that a higher intelligence must have come. There was a point, and by the way, I don't think Richard Dawkins is the... Shut up.
I agree with you.
Shut up. You just said that he said they must. He was specifically pointing out that panspermia is at least a natural explanation for life on Earth, and therefore wouldn't violate any of our ability to look at the known universe, wouldn't violate anything scientific, doesn't require any magical thinking, and therefore presents itself as a more likely candidate than the magic baby in Jerusalem who could change your meal composition.
But if I tell you, the scientists that have come with different hypotheses and the theories, you can say the CC, the cyclic, eternal cyclic, and if you go with quantum tunneling, Java Lipschitz gravity, all of these, loop quantum gravity, all of these theories is not from, like Lawrence Krauss says, is not from absolute nothing. It's not from nothing. It's very dishonest. So it's from something. The laws of nature, in the closest scientists that have ever come, I think it's quantum tunneling by Alexander Lincoln.
Well done. 5 to 10 minutes.
So my point was this.
5 to 10 minutes after the point I made that there's some scientific consensus that there's always been something eternal. You've managed to make my point for me again. And now...
Okay, fair enough. If I call that God, why do you have a problem?
No. That, nobody has a problem.
I have an issue with it.
Nobody has a problem with you. Okay, Forrest has a problem with you. And granted, I will say that's a stupid thing to call it, but you call it in to defend deism, which is not pantheism. Stop it. That's not pantheism. What you just said, if I want to call that God, is much closer to pantheism or one of these, whatever the thing we don't understand. But God, the way we use it, the way we have it in conversation, the actual utility it has for society, isn't this broad abstract concept. And people who do the exercise that you're just saying usually are trying to do it as a bait and switch. It's a type of William Lane Craig sort of thing of, well, if we agree this and then agree this and agree that, and so we agree on all these things, and that's the thing that I'm saying is God. And now, therefore, magic baby in Jerusalem that can do food miracles. Calais, are you a Christian?
No, I'm not Christian. I'm a Muslim, actually.
Okay, so I am quite tired, and I shouldn't be surprised because, honestly, this happened last time I was on the show, too. I am quite tired of what is, frankly, a common way for Muslims and Christians to misrepresent, and frankly, it's barely not lying. Because you're calling in to get some sort of consensus that it is reasonable to go, hey, yeah, we don't know the answer to all of those things. Therefore, I don't, hang the fuck on. Jesus Christ, who neither of us believe in. Not as I guess you believe him as a prophet, but I've muted you again because you want to talk over me. You want to call in and get some sort of consensus that while I don't know the answer, Like, maybe I can at least say I haven't eliminated God as one of the possibilities. Therefore, now with this consensus going, you don't have a magic baby in Jerusalem. You've got a magic pedophile in Mecca. Great. Trade one for another. And you don't, your defense of deism and going, well, they all believe, the distance between the deistic proposition and Islam being true is so much greater than the distance between atheism and deism. Because at the end of the day, actual deists and actual atheists have this level of, that's an answer to a question that if it's true or not, we'd never be able to prove it. But deists, for some reason, in their brain go, so I'd rather come down on the side for no reason, for no stakes, for whatever intellectually dishonest thing, and I think it's mostly family influence, to be able to say, guys, I'm not an atheist. I still believe in some kind of God. I think that's most of their motivations, but whatever it is, to be more accepted in society. You're calling as a Muslim to defend deism, but frankly, if the Muslim God, if the God of Islam, the God of Muhammad, whatever you want to refer to him as, was real, the impact of his reality and his interactions with reality would certainly be scientifically detectable. Meanwhile, your magic book can't even get correct where sperm comes from, even though people long before Muhammad had figured it out, and yet it comes from the spine. You can't get basic scientific things wrong, and you think the moon was torn in twain and that Muhammad rode off in a fucking winged horse. But whatever, you're talking about, you want to call in and talk about singularities that might suspend our understanding of sciences when you believe in the fucking crazy Harry Potter world. Go off, Calais. I'm unmuting you now.
Was I muted?
Yes, that whole time, because you don't know when to shut up.
Oh my God.
I told you.
Okay.
You know what? You would have known you were muted because I told you I muted you, but you were probably talking over me, having interrupted my sentences again. You're not a host, buddy. You're not.
I've actually been a good listener, to be honest. I mean, you can go.
Great listener.
Anyway.
Great listener. You've only interrupted me almost every single time I've tried to talk. And the thing is that's the host duty.
20 minutes. Come on, I have to jump in at some point, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
listen, when you gish gallop and you say a bunch of shit and we have to go through the entire foundation of the bullshit so that anybody watching doesn't fall for your fucking scam of a religion and your fucking dishonest way of presenting it and thinking, we have a little bit more responsibility here because we actually care about people, the future of society and humanity. And your fucking religion seeks to destroy it as it fetishizes an apocalypse. But anyway, here's the microphone again, buddy.
I asked you from start a very simple question. I said, look, it doesn't matter what theory or hypothesis you come with, you would have to apply some attributes of God to that specific theory or hypothesis. That's what I said from the start, and that's still true. Look, you can. I mean, I will ask you this question now. Give me a hypothesis, or peer-reviewed, or a theory that doesn't have that you won't have to apply some attributes of God to that. Then
Calais.
I've got several.
No, hang on.
I've got several.
No. But don't play his game.
Very good.
Calais.
Oh no, I've got several things to say.
No. But I know what Callie's going to do with it. Real quick, Calais, hang on, stop. Describe to me a single human who doesn't have at least one attribute of Harry Potter.
Yeah. So what's your point?
Give me a human that doesn't have an attribute of Harry Potter.
Yeah, I follow.
You can't.
I got you.
So just because something conceptually overlaps doesn't make the original something an assertion of fiction. So you would be able to go and say, oh, well, this thing has an eternal quality. That's a quality of God. We did it. That's proof of God. It's not proof of fucking anything. This fictional concept that, by the way, Calais, by others and you, have been used for this stupid God of the Gaps exercise. So all you're saying is, we've been calling all the gaps. Shut the fuck up when I'm talking. You're muted again, by the way. Fucking goddamn. If you create a big list of gaps and call the gaps God, which again, remember, your God isn't just the God of the gaps. It's also the magic pedo guy. if you call all the gaps God and then go, now fill one of those gaps, but don't do it with a single quality of God, even though I've made the gaps the quality of God's, all you've done is this sort of circular, made-up, masturbatory thing. And it would... Fucking Christ. Go ahead, Forrest, before I unmute him. What did you want to throw in?
I just want to point out that like everything that he's describing is like the Texas sharpshooter fallacy, which you should look up, Kale, by the way. What you're doing is you're just shooting at a wall and then going to where the bullet hole is and drawing a target around it. You're just throwing out bullshit and then saying this bullshit is God, therefore a God. It's ridiculous. I can give you several theories, several scientific models that have no divine intelligent properties, and as Jimmy was just pointing out angrily, is all you're going to do is say, well, that's eternal, or well, that sounds intelligent, or well, that sounds like this other thing that I've decided God is ahead of time or right now in this moment. You need to define what your God is and then find evidence for that. You can't start with the decision, I'm going to do this thing, and then go out looking for a reason to believe it and try to apply it to everything else. You need to be able to explain what you're talking about and then find actual evidence for that thing, instead of trying to go to our evidence and say that it's actually your evidence and that it's something different. And all these scientists who believe something over the past, however many hundreds of years, actually believe the thing that you believed, or at least something close enough that it gives your belief validation. Even the people like Newton, who did not at all believe in what you as a Muslim believe in, but at least he was a theist, so therefore that's kind of like a deist, so therefore that's kind of like your argument, so therefore that's kind of like Islam. It's like, it's just so weird that you're going to such lengths to make it look like you're making a point rather than actually making a point. I've had so many things to say about everything you've said because they're all just so boring, dude. They're so lazy and so boring. And it's wild to me that you're calling in to talk about science with people who actually give a shit about it and thinking that you can get away with that.
It's fucking nuts. All right, Calais, I'm unmuting you. I'm not really interested in your I'm not really interested in your scientific takes. You've already shown that you are entirely dishonest. And again, you're just doing, he mentioned the Texas sharpshooter fallacy. This is also God of the gaps. So anyway, how does God of the gaps get you to defending a person who fucked a 9-year-old? Defend Islam. I don't care about your science shit.
I mean, that's cool.
I don't care about your science shit.
Where did the universe come from?
Who knows? First of all, who says that the universe has to come from? No. Stop! You don't get to ask a question and then, okay, let me jump in before we finish our answer. You don't get to fucking do that, Calais. So you're muted again. I don't know whether or not the question, where did the universe come from, makes sense. It sort of implies that the universe was somewhere else and now it's here. Mm-hmm. So with the exception of the expansion of the universe, I don't even know that the concept of where was it from. Again, there's some consensus that some aspect of it seems to be eternal. So regardless of what that aspect is, the thing I don't do is go, hey, where did such and such come from? I don't know. Okay, therefore, any answer is a good fill-in. And I certainly don't use that as the foundation for my pedophile apologetics religion. Go on, Calais.
What's bothering me?
Oh,
don't go on, Calais. Hold on.
Yeah.
Because I know that you're not going to let us get a sentence out. You're just going to say, well, what about this thing? And the second we start talking about, well, that's because God. You ask where the universe came from. I think Jimmy's answer was perfectly appropriate, but I would also throw in the fact that you're asking about, if we're talking about before the Big Bang, you're asking about what happened before time started. Yeah. So before the concept of before meant anything, in a place that's outside of everywhere because there was no space. So outside of anywhere that existed in a time that wasn't, what happened? And I don't know how you can ask that question with a straight face. I don't know what is the cause of the universe if there is one. And I'm confident in just saying, I don't fucking know. And what you're doing is coming along and saying, I do know. And not only do I know what's happening in an imperceivable part of nothing beyond time and space where no human mind could possibly stretch, I not only know what's there, but I know the name of the dude, and I know about his kid, and I know about his profits, and I know what superpowers he has, and I know about what he thinks about masturbation and eating shellfish, and I know about his opinions on mixed fabrics, and I know about all these things do I know. And like, I'm at least just able to say, there's something I don't understand, and I hope to understand it someday. I'm not happy not knowing, but I don't fucking know. And I at least have the spine to just say I don't fucking know. And you're over here saying, no, it was a dude. It was a dude. It was just some guy.
It was
some fucking guy on it. It was just a guy. It was just some guy. He was floating around on his fucking magic space throne, and he made the whole universe because he can do shit like that because he's a space wizard, and he just whipped up the whole thing, and he really fucking wants to make sure that you don't have anal sex. And that's what's going on. And like, I don't get how you can seriously call in here to like I said, to two people who actually give a damn about science and try to like bastardize science and scientific questions so that you can convince us that there's this guy who's just, he's out there being a magic space guy watching us bone. And like, I don't get it, dude. Like, how is that actually the argument you're making? And you're trying to cover it with such trivial, thinly veiled bullshit of, oh, well, you know, this random scientist kind of had a thing that sounded like a god. And also, you don't know where space came from. So therefore, there's a guy. And it's like, I can't, dude.
I love the Newton example because it's literally like Newton was great at the things he was great at, but he also believes in alchemy.
He also drank fucking mercury. Exactly.
That's likely why he died. Like,
the dude fucking invented calculus and then shoved a needle in his eyeball to see new colors. Like, I'm sorry. Some scientists I'm a fucking biologist. Darwin got a lot of shit wrong. Darwin had a lot of shitty takes. Darwin has a lot of reason to be criticized. You know why? Because Darwin was just a fucking dude. And Newton was just a fucking dude. And Einstein was just a fucking dude. And they knew some stuff and they didn't know some stuff. And we're all better because of the stuff they knew. And we forget about the stuff they didn't know. And we move forward as a community, as a society. And you're over here with some fucking Iron Age sex manual talking about, no, actually, I have the solution to every question you could ever have. It's that sperm comes from your fucking spine and there's a magic space guy. And I'm like, dude, don't come at me with this shit. Just be honest about what you're calling in about and let the hosts explain what they want to explain because it's not your goddamn show.
Did you know that,
wild.
Calais, did you know that a higher
on the line?
Calais, did you know that a higher percentage of scientists than believe in God? So you have the percentage that believe in God. There's a much higher percentage that believe you should not fuck 9-year-olds. Anyway, Calais, what is the God of the gaps? I've now unmuted you. What's the God of the gaps?
Why are you muting me anyways? Something cannot come from absolute
no,
nothing.
That's not what... Calais, what
Prove
question?
that.
Calais,
Prove that shit. Prove that shit.
Calais, what question... No, hang on. Hang on. Calais, what question did I just ask you? Because you didn't answer the question. Why should I let you finish? I asked you a question. What was it?
Can you calm down? You have a heart attack soon.
Shut the fuck up. I'll have a heart attack whenever I goddamn feel like it. You don't get to control me. Fucking idiot. Your God so far has let me do this job for years without giving me a heart attack. So fucking, calm down, Calais. I'm capable of managing my own outrage. Calais, the next words out of your mouth need to be what question I asked you when I took you off mute. What question did I ask? Otherwise, we're moving on. What question did I ask you?
You said, but that's the thing. You won't let me talk.
Yeah, you don't know. Goodbye, because you weren't listening. I don't need a lecture. You won't let me talk to the guy who won't fucking listen. I already hung up, so he'll have to hear this part after. I don't care whether it bothers you that I interrupt you when the reason I interrupt you is you are behaving dishonestly. And you have to be interrupted because we established in the first moments of the call that you gish gallop. Foundationally, we're doing a show here for people who are deconstructing. However, I want to hear from religious people who have good reasons to believe, because if they are right, I want to believe also. Legitimately. I want to believe anything that is true. But if you're going to call in...
I just love Sorry.
And you're going to be a dishonest little bitch, and then lecture me on not letting you finish, and you are asked straightforward a question, I say, Calais, I'm taking you off of mute. Answer this question. What is a God of the gaps? And then you start saying something else. And Forrest can't help. He's like a cat with a toy. He's like, I want to answer that question, and I love him for it. But if you can't repeat the question I just asked you, because you were silent when I asked it, you weren't even talking over. So it shows that even when everything is isolated so you can just hear the question, you still don't listen, then I don't care to talk to you. Because if you're going to call in with bad reasons, we're going to foundationally break down those bad reasons. We're going to talk more than the person who calls in with bad reasons, because the people we're doing the show for still don't know why those reasons are bad. We are a show for people who are building up their debate skills, their reasoning, their critical thinking skills, their skepticism. And we're going to show people how to do that better. Now, listen, do I do things that are other than that I hope people don't pick up on? Yes. I am impatient and I yell a little too quickly. And I don't think you should emulate that. I don't think I am, I think there are parts of me that are, there's a reason why I'm only friends with the certain types of people I'm friends with. I can't often be friends with people who take things personally easily, because my autism often just railroads them. But if you're going to call in and be a dishonest bitch, you're going to get muted a lot. And we're going to walk people through why you're being a dishonest bitch. Forrest, you had some things you wanted to share.
Oh, you just for him to be like, something can't produce nothing. Yeah, I understand. You've been doing this for a lot longer than I am. So you're like, I'm fucking done with your shit. I just wanted to like ask him to try to defend that statement.
That's true.
Nothing
it's
can't
impossible.
make something.
Yeah.
Prove it.
Yeah.
Prove it. Show me a nothing. I don't know
Exactly.
what nothing looks like. I don't know what nothing feels like. I don't have any samples of nothing upon which to run tests. I've never seen a nothing. And what's in my hand right now? Light, gravity, neutrinos passing through me, electrons passing, like there's all fucking find me a nothing upon which to experiment and back up your claim that nothing can't create something. I'm not saying that nothing can create something. I'm saying I have no reason to believe that nothing ever existed. And if it did, I don't know what the fuck that looks like or what it can do. So just, it's one of those ridiculous creationist platitudes. Like, you know, oh, are you going to take an apple and make a giraffe? How you mutate an apple to get eyes? And like, just, you're not actually grappling with the actual fucking point. You're saying something that sounds completely stupid so that you can argue against the completely stupid thing instead of having an adult conversation about a complex topic. And I'm sorry, I know it's very much easier to just say a dude did it, but that's not how science works.
A guy.
The universe is far much more interesting. It's just some guy, some fucking guy. He was just some fucking guy, and he just made some shit, and he wants to make sure that you don't have a foreskin because he's just that kind of guy. And I don't get it, dude. I just don't get it.
So, by the way, earlier when he brought up Penrose to respond to my talking about the sort of pioneer on black holes, I think said Penrose. I have no idea whether Penrose recanted or not. I wasn't actually talking about Penrose. I was talking about Roy Kerr, the person who actually solved fucking space-time and the existence of black holes. Anyway, and he was the one who argues that singularities don't actually physically exist. A black hole, like the anatomy of a black hole as we understand it, is so fucking disturbing. Like, you want the edge of the black hole.
It's wild.
When you consider a black hole, you want the edge of the black hole to essentially be like, you just think of compression, and you want the edge to be the wall of that compression. That'd be the hardest thing that ever existed because it's all the molecules. But it's not. It's just the edge of where light can still escape. And the fact that, like, between the center and that event horizon is basically a bunch of nothing almost all the way around is so... It keeps me up at night. It's fucking disturbing. That's not even a joke. Sometimes I just stay awake thinking about black holes and also acknowledging how little I know about them. But what little I do know bothers the fuck out of me.
Spaghettification still makes me smile. It blows my mind to shit.
It's fun. I just love that that's an actual scientific phrase. Like, that's an actual scientific term. Yeah, you're going to get...
Like thagomizer.
You're going to get spaghettified. Come into my black hole, I'll spaghettify you.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Snow, executive producer of The Line, and I only became a woodworker for the puns. That's not important. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so on our Patreon or as a channel member, and you can actually support specific shows and specific hosts in special tiers on those. Check those options out. Also, you can leave a super thanks and get a little highlighted deal. But if all else fails, you can always you can subscribe and leave a comment. Now, here are some suggestions because I don't care about the algorithm. I am the algorithm. Bye.